Okay, so now I will go ahead and boot the virtual machine, and it will take the boot file or the ISO file that I set in the optical drive, and it will start booting the Ubuntu installation. So let's go ahead and start it. So here's the virtual machine starting up, and straight away it found the file, the ISO file, and it's saying it's giving me some options if I want to do an installation or test the memory, and a couple of other options like OEM install, etc. So the one that I want to select is Ubuntu. That's the default option, and I'm just gonna hit enter, and it's gonna start to expand the ISO file and find whatever it needs to continue with the installation until the end. So here's the first question that we're being asked. If we want to, the language that I want to install, and do I want to try Ubuntu or install Ubuntu? Of course, I want to go ahead and install it on the hard drive. I just don't want to try it. If you say try Ubuntu, what will happen is the operating system will actually run off of the optical drive, and it will not get installed on the actual virtual hard drive that we assign to this computer. So I don't want to try it out. That's another good thing about this installation, is that it can allow you to try using try the software out, use the software without first installing it on the hard drive. So in this case, I want to go ahead and install it. So my language is English, and I'm going to choose to say install. Keyboard layout, I'll leave it as the default, which is English US, and then I'll go ahead and click on continue. Of course, you can add any additional keyboard or choose any additional keyboard that you want to use. I think there's one there for Canada English, but I'm just going to leave the default as the US English. Now it's asked me if I want to install the normal installation and if I want to download updates during the installation. Now, the normal installation, if you look at it, it will install additional applications. And it lists a number of them, like web browser, utilities, office software, games, media players. You also have the option of installing a minimal installation. This here comes in handy if you don't want the additional software that comes pre-installed with this particular distribution. So at times you may want to choose that installation to do the minimal, because you want to actually install all of your software that you want to use. You don't want the pre-configured software or pre-packaged software that comes with the distribution. I will actually choose the minimal installation if let's say, for example, if you just want to have a limited operating system installed with no additional applications, and then you can choose to install whatever applications after from the software store. But for my purpose, and for the purpose of this class, I will go ahead with a normal installation. The other option is download updates while installing Ubuntu. Here again, you can choose not to install it or to install it. Because I've set up the network, which means that this virtual machine will have access to the internet during at the time of installation, I can choose to download the updates while installing Ubuntu. For now, I'm gonna actually turn that off, and the reason is the installation will go a lot quicker if I don't go to the internet to download the updates, because if it downloads the updates, it means that the installation will take a little bit longer, depending on how many updates are available at the time, or how many updates it actually sees and needs to download in order to continue the installation. So because I want this to go a little bit quickly, I will remove the option of downloading the updates, and I will show you how to actually run the updates after the installation. The other option is asking if you want to install the third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi hardware, etc. If you are doing this in a real world environment, I will definitely choose that option to download third-party software for your graphic card. But because this is a virtual environment, this is not necessary at this time. So I will not choose that. By default, it's not selected. So the only thing I changed here was to prevent it from downloading the updates, because I want to do that after. So I click on continue. And then it takes us to the next phase of the installation, where it's going to ask, okay, where do you want to install this operating system? Of course, we have only one disk that is available, and we will have to choose the location of where we want to install it. So here's the next phase of the installation that I just mentioned, where it says, okay, do you want to erase the disk and install Ubuntu, or do you want to do something else? Now, if there was another operating system already installed on this drive, or if the drive was not new, let's say for example it was previously installed with a Windows installation, or with say another version of Linux, that their installation will be recognized, and you will have a different option here where you can choose that, okay, you want to install Linux alongside of this, that you want to install Ubuntu alongside of the other operating system that is available. But we cannot see this option here, because the operating system is actually seeing the hard drive as a blank or empty disk with no previous installation. So the only option that we have here, or we can choose here, is to erase the disk and install Ubuntu. So what it will do is, where it says erase this, it will actually go ahead and create the Linux partition that it needs in order to do the installation. So the next thing is to click on install now. So it brings us now to the changes. It gives you a summary of what the installation will do and how it will actually partition the drive. So normally what happens is that Linux will install, or this Ubuntu will install two partitions, and it's telling you that the partition that it will install. So it'll create a main partition where all the files and folders and installation of programs and the operating system and everything will be installed. And the next part of the the next partition will be used as a swap space, okay, or virtual memory. Now I'll explain to you when we get a little bit later in the course, when I explain to you what is the Linux file system. I will explain to you what the swap is, but just so that you know what these what the two partitions, the purpose of the two partition. One will be for the main installation, and the other will be just a small space in the hard drive that is marked out for what is called swap space. And then you click on next or continue. And what the installation will do now is to format the drive and start preparing it for the installation. By default, it recognizes your time zone, meaning where you're located. So mine is set to Toronto, so I'm going to leave it as that. What that basically means is that when your computer, after the installation, your computer will set the correct time and time zone that you're in. You click next to continue. And here it's going to ask you some basic questions. For example, your name. I'm just going to put my name in here. And you have to name the computer. So I'm going to call it Ubuntu 21. Just Ubuntu 21. Username, you can pick whatever username you want. I'm just going to leave it as my first name, and then I'm going to assign a password. Please do not forget this password if you assign it a password. And I have an option of to log in automatically or require my password to log in. Normally, I would advise to choose the option to require my password to log in. That is because it will force you that every time the computer restarts or every time you want to log into the computer, and you have to enter the password. In this way, you will remember what the password is, and you'll never forget it. If you choose automatic, it means that when you reboot the computer, it will go straight into the operating system or the desktop without asking you for the password. So in this way, because you're not typing the password, it could be if you ever forget the password, then you'll have to get another account with root privileges to actually go and change the password for you. If this is the only account that you have there, then you're in trouble. So I will actually leave it to require my password to log in, and then click on continue. And here's where we're gonna start doing the installation, and it'll tell you some of the features that are available in this edition of Ubuntu. What you can do, what you can do, and you'll just have to wait until the installation finishes. Okay, so after our lengthy wait, we finally come to the end of the installation. And once the installation fully completes, it's just gonna ask us to restart by telling us, okay, the installation is done, and you need to restart the computer in order to continue with it. So I click on restart, and it's just gonna go through the restart process. Okay, so now it's telling us to remove the installation medium and then press enter. So we can do two things. We can just hit enter, or we can disconnect the CD from the optical storage that we have here. It's actually already disconnected. So all we need to do is to press enter, and it should start to reboot.